Hello, everyone. Let's take our communication, democracy, and presentation skills to the next level. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of Online Presenters. We're a virtual advanced Toastmasters Club. As our mission is, we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. I'm Sergeant at Arms Dr. Sunny. Our guests, we wish you a warm welcome. We're so glad you're here and your interest in our club. Please note, if you'd love to join our club, you should be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. However, if you have substantial, relevant presentation experience, we welcome you to apply for membership. You can demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by our club members. We have guests and members from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note, we're recording this meeting. Your video and your audio contributions may be used for club marketing purposes. However, we are an opt-in club, and please look for messages in our chat from our Vice President of Membership, who will share what you need to do if you opt out. Finally, remember, mute your microphone when you're not speaking. And now, please help me welcome to our virtual stage our club president, Joni Laidlaw. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms Sunny, for that warm welcome. It's cold. Ponstani Films said we're going to have 6 more weeks of this winter thing. I am not sure anybody on this side of the hemisphere is enjoying it. I know Annie and Graham are probably ecstatic that they're in the southern hemisphere and not experiencing the cold like we all are. But you know what? Hopefully Ponstani Phil was wrong, and we'll notice that it starts to get warmer soon. And that might help with the darkness. Sometimes the cold and the lack of the sun may cause some darkness. With that said, to our guests, we will be having a session at the end of the meeting where we're going to ask for your feedback. So we hope that you make it through to the end. We're going to be having a very special meeting today with a very special theme. Now, democracy is not usually discussed except when you're doing your leadership style. And every single time I do that project in level 2, I go, please let me get democratic. Please let me get democratic, because all voices are welcome. Well, David Carr, who is our Toastmaster of the day today, will be taking us through a different version of this. What happens when democracy dies in darkness? Now, it might be doom and gloom, but there might be a silver lining on this dark cloud. I'm hoping it's not a muckraker. I hope I got that one right. We'll get that corrected. But maybe we do hope that it is, because anytime you're in darkness, the best way to see the sun is by actually removing it. So with that, let me get to the virtual lectern today to take us through our meeting. Founding member, former president of Online Presenters, journalist, and if you're ever on Facebook, the sharer of some very interesting political memes, David Carr.
Thank you, Joni. Now, the awful truth is, I think I actually meant to add this theme to the agenda of my other club, and I got confused and I added it over here. But it's still relevant. And actually, the phrase "democracy dies in darkness," I shouldn't assume that everybody recognizes that instantly all around the world. But it is the new tagline that Jeff Bezos added to the Washington Post, a great American newspaper the newspaper of Woodward and Bernstein and the Watergate scandal. He came in as the billionaire savior of the newspaper. And originally it was kind of a shocking statement, but it was intended, I guess, as a positive statement. Democracy dies in darkness, and we can't let that happen. Except that lately it's turned into democracy dies in darkness, and that's perfectly okay. Because just recently, the Post laid off 300 plus reporters, including every photographer at the paper, many award winners, just about all of the reporters who covered technology, because maybe we wouldn't want to have too much critical study of technology. And there were also war correspondents in places like Ukraine who apparently just got laid off by email, and now they're setting up GoFundMe's to see if they can get home, or find some way to continue reporting on things that they care about. So my theme of the day is democracy dies in darkness. Riff on it how you will. Um, I'm a fan of democracy, and when people talk about the media being so bad and journalism being so bad, there's never been more need for clear, accurate communication. But there's also never been less financial support, support in many other ways, respect, and so something to work on. I posted a couple of links in the chat. One of them is actually a guest speaker we're having in at Club Awesome, my other club, who is a historical cartoonist. And he is doing a lot with the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. If you can come by, that will be on Zoom Friday morning at 7 a.m. EST. If that's a time that you can make it, should be an interesting session. I also dropped in the chat a couple of links to a couple of training sessions on the Toastmasters.org website platform, which you all know I'm a great advocate for and creator of. I do actually have a tip of the day that I will deliver myself at Joni's request, which is where to find all that data that you have entered into the website. If you've recorded your speeches, what happens to that? Well, it doesn't disappear. And so I do want to take a moment to let you know where you can go to find that. So I'm going to share screen and get the right thing on the screen. Give me a moment. There we go. Ah. All right. If you log into the website, you will not see all this stuff. But if you go to our website, if you're logged into the Online Presenters website, a lot of you probably just log in to sign up for roles on the agenda. But there's this other section. This is the behind the scenes section. If you go to the dashboard, again, you will see a shorter menu than this, but everybody has this menu here that says Toastmasters. And under Toastmasters, there is My Progress. So if I go in here, I can look up the latest things that I've done in general, but I can also filter this down to just the speeches. And so this can be a tool when you're trying to reconstruct, what the heck is it that I did over the last month? I meant to record it in Pathways, and I need to go back and do that. Not speaking of anybody in particular, but this is something that I need to do from time to time. This is a way of retracing your steps. And there aren't too many people in this situation, but if you're in multiple clubs that use the same software, you'll see the records for multiple clubs in here, or you can filter it down to just this club. So that is in the system. It is also possible. Now, if you go to our website, it's always showing you the things that are coming up. not past events. Because I hate when websites are advertising the upcoming event that happened 2 months ago. But actually, if you go to this calendar page, you can navigate back in time. So if you want to find something for a specific meeting, if you know somebody who spoke at the beginning of January and you're trying to go back and do that, that is also something that you can still find in the system. If you want to learn chapter and verse about the Toastmasters setup, I have those couple of training sessions coming up. But with that, we should actually get back to our own meeting. So as Toastmaster of the Day, it is my job to try and run a well-organized meeting. A big part of that is keeping things on time. Our timer this evening will be Sarah Idahan. Sarah, can you explain how you'll be performing the timer role tonight?
Yes, keeping time for the meeting. We have 3 parts with 3 timing situations for our speakers, which are 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I will show a green light, and at 6 minutes, yellow light, and at 7 minutes, a red light, red background. For table topics, 1 to 2 minutes. So at 1 minute, I will show a green background. At 1.5 minutes, a yellow background. And at 2 minutes, a red background. And you have 30 seconds to wrap up. For our evaluators, which are 2 to 3 minutes, at 2 minutes, I will show a green background. At 2.5 minutes, a yellow. And at 3 minutes, a red. And you have 30 seconds to wrap up. And I will share those in the chat and give a report at the end of the meeting when asked to do so. Back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. And much as I tried to weasel out of having an eye counter for this meeting, we do have one. Allison, can you explain the eye counter role?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, as your eye counter for our guests. My job and role in this meeting is to listen for the pesky use of those filler words like or so, and well, like, those pesky words that can detract from our speaking and our message and make us sound at times unprofessional. So, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, I will be listening very closely to the words that everyone says. Back to you, sir.
All right. In this club, we also have a couple of roles that are not in any manual. And one of them, Yenny, you might kind of recognize this as being similar to the body language monitor we had at Club Awesome, but here we call it the Watcher. And can you explain to us, Jim Barber, what the Watcher does and why it's different online than in person?
I will do my best, Mr. Toastmaster. Hi, everybody. I am the Watcher for this evening, which makes me basically a visual grammarian. I'm not interested so much. I'm not personally interested in what you say. I'm interested in how you look when you say it. I'm going to be watching everybody. I'm going to be looking at your framing, how well you use the frame, how well you are lit, different things like that. Basically, part of online communication is being able to communicate visually, and I'm going to be looking at how effectively you are doing that. I'll give a report at the end of the meeting. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, terrific. One other online specific role is chat monitor. Andrei Smolenko, you explain what you'll be monitoring the chat for.
Yes, certainly, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. My role is a chat monitor. I think it's quite unique for online presenters, and I'm happy to do this role. What I'm going to do is in the name, monitoring the chat. So I will encourage all the guests and online presenters members use the chats appropriately or as you wish. Put interesting things even during the chat but please try not to use chat during the speeches. So please focus on prepared speeches and perhaps table topics as well. All other time, the chat is yours, and I will report about my interesting finding at the end of the meeting. Back to you, David.
Terrific. And of course, there is a big exception to that, is when the speaker is asking for comments or feedback in the chat. So,
Very true.
which can be a good way of getting engagement with the audience online, where the challenges are all a little bit different. We also have a vote counter for tonight. I'm the vote counter. There won't actually be that many votes to count because we have one speaker and one evaluator. But when we do table topics, I will keep track of who is doing table topics. And provided that you speak within the allotted time, you will be eligible to vote, and guests are always welcome to and encouraged to vote. I will actually drop a link in the chat to an online tool that you can use to vote, and that helps me tally up the votes. So, with that, we are ready to begin with our featured speech for this evening. We have Dr. Andrew Byrne is going to be giving an extended speech. This is 10 to 15 minutes. This is a level 3 increasing knowledge speech, and it's called Keeping the Commitment. This is part of the Successful Club series. So, Keeping the Commitment, Dr. Andrew Byrne. You're muted, Andy.
I switched it. So this speech, I sent it to Kurtika, was level 3 project, presentation mastery, use of software.
Okay, but this is still a 10 to 15 minute speech?
It's 5 to 7, and it can go longer if you want.
So how do you want me to time it?
Well,
why don't I give him 10 minutes, since we thought we had a longer speech on the budget tonight. So
okay.
So there'd be 8, 9, and 10. Green,
Okay.
yellow, and red. 8, 9, and 10.
Okay.
Let me just switch my thing to my clock.
Just a point of order. Somebody asked if the grammarian was introduced, and I do not remember, because I personally want to know how to correctly pronounce that word of the day.
Sorry, that was Annie.
Thank you.
Annie, do you want to take a minute to just introduce the grammarian's role, and maybe you can also introduce the word muckraker?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. I am your grammarian today. I will be looking at the way that we all use our words, whether we use good grammar, bad grammar, word pictures, similes, or maybe metaphors, whatever it is. The word of the day is muckraker, and I guess we've all got different accents, but that's how I say it, muckraker. And it is a person who searches for and tries to expose real or alleged corruption, scandal, or other wrongdoing, especially in politics. That is all from me, and it's over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, so just backed up a moment. Didn't mean to skip over you. I'll actually drop a link in the chat to where you can add your picture to the system, because your picture wasn't showing up on the agenda, so it wasn't as prominent as some of the other people. So I'll give you
Good
that
point.
link.
Thank you.
All right. With that, let's come back to Dr. Andrew Byrne. Andy, you're on.
Okay, can you make sure that I am in the system as a co-host to make sure my slides produce the show?
Let's see, Sonny is the host. Sonny, can you make sure he has the proper rights?
It's all set. He can share.
Okay. Welcome, everybody at the club. Welcome, people on Zoom, fellow DTMs, and other dignitaries to this presentation. I'm going to be focused on confident voices. Now, for those of you who've been around for a while, you may recognize that that's the name of a book that was produced by Toastmasters that included the entire history of Toastmasters. Let's ask a question, see how many people are together with their thoughts. How many years has Toastmasters been around? Anybody?
101.
I got Graham. Go ahead.
It's a trick question. The organization as Toastmasters has been around for 101 years, but what became Toastmasters has been around for about 105 or 106.
Right. 1924 is when the original charter took place. And then subsequently, there were additional expansions internationally, first one being Canada, and so on and so forth. So one of the questions, reason why I asked that is you're all members. If a new person comes up and says, well, what is Toastmasters all about? What can you tell me about it? Would you really know about the organization? Would you be a fountain of information to share with others? Let's do a test. If I say, are you a 1% Toastmaster? What would that mean? Anyone?
Well, it could mean that you're rich, but it probably means that you're a DTM.
You got it. And that's because there is about 1% of the people in Toastmasters that have reached the Distinguished Toastmaster certification or achievement level. So if you're a 1%er, that means that you've achieved what 99% of the people in Toastmasters have not achieved, and that's the Distinguished Toastmaster earning. Now, the Distinguished Toastmaster earning symbolizes three things. Think of a three-legged stool. Who knows the answer to the three components of Toastmaster? Joni, you must know this. Three components of Toastmasters. The three legs of the stool. Sunny, you want to help her out?
I need a lifeline.
Communication, leadership,
service. That's right. I knew that.
I know you knew that. That's why I called on you. Okay. So it's the three legs of the stool. And what we're going to go through now is someone said, okay, tell me about Toastmasters. Tell me about the 100 years and see what you can come up with. Well, I'm going to see if my presentation software is working or not. Okay. I'm going to switch to an alternative background because one of these things not working properly. So what I'm going to do is go to a share and share. And we're going to share Keynote over here. Do content, the whole thing, and share. Can everybody see the slide? Yes, no, maybe? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can see.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Century of Confident Voices is referring to the fact that Toastmasters formed in 1924. And there was an evolution. The original reason why Toastmasters formed in 1924 with Ralph Smedley, who's pictured here, is why? Does anyone know the original story of how we began? What's the origin story?
He began at the YMCA, where he was a director at the YMCA. Then he moved
Director of Education, because they had all these kids hanging around,
Yeah.
and they had poor communication skills, no leadership skills, and the YMCA said, fix it. And he had an ED, so he went about doing that. Okay, here's an overall summary of Toastmasters right now. We have 100 years of operation. We're in 149 countries. We have 272,338 members. We have 13,846 clubs. These are some of the frictions and challenges that we have. These represent goals 7 and 8 on the 10-point goals. Why do we have goals 7 and 8? What are they? Anybody know the goals? 7 and 8? 4 new members and 4 new members.
Yeah.
Why is that necessary? Because our organization globally has a churn rate, which means people drop out, at about 35%, 35.5%. And that the average time that people stay in there are 2.4 years. And there are lots of reasons for that. Life changes. They may have come into the club and were uncomfortable speaking in front of people. And after spending some time in the club, they got over that glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. And so they said, my needs are met, bye, I'm gone. So there is an issue that people drop out early, which is not too different from college. In the United States, people entering college have a dropout rate as well. What's the overall dropout rate in people entering college? Does anybody know? Anybody have care to venture? The answer is 1 out of 4 people that enter college drop out and do not complete their college training for advanced degrees. Now, the good news is that you can enter Toastmasters, and as long as you have the desire to reach a goal and to stick with it, you can learn a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, under the new educational program called Pathways, you have a situation where you can learn 351 different skills and competencies. That's like getting an MPH or MBA. There's a lot of stuff to learn. And when you think about it, when we talk about going to the pathways and look at that stuff, it's sort of like the freshman that enters college and they're given this big book with all the courses and outlines of all the courses. And they say to the student, okay, choose something. You know, what's your major? What are your classes going to be? And then they have to go through this huge book to determine how much am I going to do and where am I going to do it. Toastmasters is a little bit like that, and I'll explain why. First off, when you look at all of Toastmasters as it exists right now, 2020, well, we're actually in 2026, but this is the last available information, you can see it exists everywhere. Here are friends from Australia, right there. And look at them. They are a dark color over there, which means that they're between 5,000 to 15,000 members in their country. When you look at, let's say, Brazil's over here, and they do not have as many members. There are only a few places that are completely white. There is no clubs in Greenland. So I guess that's why Trump wanted to go to Greenland, so that we can start Toastmaster clubs there. But the insight here is that, you know, we see that the total membership is going up, but it had gone down about 1/3, about 30% during the COVID time, which was from 2019 to 2023 was the peak. And during that time, and people couldn't get together, clubs folded. Now, we in Online Presenters are a virtual club, so we didn't have to worry about that. In fact, David was called upon many times to explain to people, how do you do a virtual club? Because we can't meet together and we don't want our clubs to go away. So these are some of the things that we learned and provided. There's something called the leaky bucket, or you think of it as a hole in the middle of a canoe. If you're in membership, you notice that you have your starting membership, the churn rate of 35.5. The reason we have goals 7 and 8, 4 members and 4 members, is that pretty much puts you to status quo. So you'll lose about 8 members a year, and by completing goal 7 and 8, you're putting in 8 members so that you stay afloat and you don't sink. Club mortality rates. This is an interesting fact, okay? The danger zone of when clubs fail, all right? What you look at is the club age, and when it's safe, clubs that are around longer are more likely to survive. But when you start losing membership below 50%, that's when the club is in danger of dying. How many people know what the 4 types of clubs are? Community clubs, corporate clubs, advanced clubs, and specialty clubs. There was a problem with membership just as the digital pathways started to replace the legacy system, which was physical manuals. And the friction of change is commonplace with any structure. People don't like change. And what they found was that 90% of the officers adopted it, 80% of the members adopted it, but the resistant leadership represented a little bit less than 55%. So they had to deal with that. Members had a variety of experiences with pathways and still coming up. Here's the 1%. The distinguished Toastmaster is this little peak over here, and it requires them to have 12 months of club officership, 1 year of district officer, or a coaching, club mentor, club coach or sponsor, and a DTM project. Right? The archetypes of membership, you have to think about it as a marathoner versus a sprinter. Those that last longer will succeed and have all the benefits. And then we moved into the digital and hybrid evolution, which took place in the years of 2019 forward. And about 60% of clubs now are hybrid. So as we look at the next century, what are we looking at? We're looking at recruitment and retention, stabilizing the corporate model, which is less stable than community model, and experience the changes. So this is your confident voices. If you want to know the history of Toastmasters, get the book. It's about $100. So that's pretty much it. I may have gone over, but I'll answer any questions if there's time to do so.
Folks have questions they want to cover? Or? All right.
Andy, Dr. Andy, I'd like to know, in a nutshell, what does this mean for us as Toastmasters? What should be our big takeaway?
The takeaway is this is like a buffet. And how hungry are you? The hungrier you are, the more you can eat because it's all laid out there. You just have to know where to find the information, how to get the information, then how to consume the information. And that's where the mentorship and that's where office leadership helps the new member, because a new member comes in, they don't know where to find stuff. Well, okay, you say there are 351 different competencies and skills. Where are they? How do I find them? What do I do to learn about them? Or they may say, show me where do I find these things? There are lots of resources. The first resource, the basic level, is at the club resources from the club leadership. If you're in a districted club, from there you have the area, division, and district leadership to help you out. On the digital only people, they can go directly to the Toastmasters website, and using that little search bar, you can find out just about anything. I put in earlier something that I just discovered that Toastmaster has. It's a compendium of information with links to everything. So in 7 pages, you have the entire breadth and depth of Toastmasters there that you can look up and find out the answers to all the procedures, operations, and Marianne knows this in HR. If you have a procedure written down for everything, you can come across any problem and solve it. And so I provided with you in the chat I'm not sure I put it in the chat or I put it in the WhatsApp, I put this compendium in there that just came out. And I think Graham also put down a direct access to that. He put down the web address. So these are things to let you know about that. For example, if you're just starting out, you might want to know about the 1310. That's the club leadership handbook. Or you might want to know about the district leadership book. That's 222. Or you might want to know about the moments of truth. That's 290. Or you might want to know about distinguished Toastmasters and what that whole program is about. That's 111. So any event, anything you want to know about, you can find. And we're happy to help you with that.
All right. Thank you, Andy. Marianne, I want to know is that true? Do procedures solve all problems? I don't know. I think there might be something involved with people actually following the procedures is to solve the problem.
David, I have to say, I went from a mom and pop company who had no procedures, and it graduated, and that definitely helped us structure what happened within the walls of our company.
Okay, well, structure can help. Very good. Good to know. All right. Well, we just have the one speaker for the evening, so we will be moving on to table topics. This is often a fun part of the meeting, maybe occasionally a terrifying part of the meeting, where you learn how to tap dance. And our tap dance instructor for the evening is Graham Cairns, our topics master.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I'm not going to make you tap dance because that would mean that I would have to force it. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong tap. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Table Topics. Table Topics for our guests, and I notice that we do have a couple of guests here tonight. Table Topics is a chance to speak in an impromptu sense. We've had a prepared presentation, which we've just seen from Andrew. We will be seeing evaluation, which is the cornerstone of the Toastmasters experience, getting feedback. But the third part of a meeting is Table Topics, where we get a chance to speak without any preparation. And so I have a series of questions tonight, which have come from a set of cards which were created by one of my other Toastmasters clubs for a district convention a couple of years ago. They are all questions which you should be able to answer. But one of the best parts about Table Topics is that if you don't want to answer the question I give you, you can change it however you like and answer however you want. You've got between 1 and 2 minutes to speak. Now, that sounds like it's not very much time, but it also sounds like a terrifyingly long time, depending on your particular personality. I won't be asking our guests the first questions, but you may well get one coming up as the third or fourth table topic tonight after you've seen how it's done. Normally in a face-to-face club, you would ask the question and then you would call on the person so that everybody has to think about it. But I prefer in this environment to nominate who the speaker is going to be so that they have a chance to turn on their camera and turn on their microphone if they don't have them on already. So with that in mind, Alison Blakeman, you get the first table topic question for today, and that is, what is your favorite true story that you enjoy sharing with others? So for between 1 and 2 minutes, Alison, what is your favorite true story that you enjoy sharing with others?
Oh my goodness, Mr. Table Topics Master. I knew you were going to call on me first. My favorite true story is the story of Joe. Okay. I was working for started out in the telephone company, working in a special circuit test center where we built circuits from a fractional circuit all the way up to an OC 192 and built it across the state of Kentucky and interconnected to different states. I was new, lowest on the seniority list in the union. I got bumped to night shift. All the hard work got passed to me and Reed, who also was a month senior than me on night shift. One day, I was tired of all the crap, hard work getting passed on to me. I walked over and confronted Joe, who was notorious for slacking off work. I was really furious, and he sat down, and he looked like Barney Rubble. He's a lot shorter than I was, and he resembled Barney Rubble. I walked up to his cubicle, and I said, Joe, I need to have a word with you. I said, what is up with you passing off and skipping over all these circuits? And I said, you've been here for 26 years. I've been here for 3 months, and you're passing off this. You should know better. And I said, how do you not know? He turns around and gives me a smirk, and I wanted to slug him, Graham. I wanted to slug him, that smirk on his face. He stood up, reached around his back pocket, pulls out a little black book. And he says, you don't have to know everything, but you have to know who does. 26 years, the man couldn't build a T1 circuit across multiple hops across the state, but he knew people who could, and he called them for help. That is the favorite story that I love to share, and actually I shared it at work today. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Alison. I have to say, I, for many years, used to get really, really annoyed with clients who would want to voice their own commercials on radio rather than using my voice. But then again, if it was sold for them, they don't need to know what to do. They just need to know how to do it, or how to get somebody else to do it for them. Second question tonight, and this one is going to go to Sherry Blake, because Sherry is, according to her name, not doing anything else tonight, and you cannot escape. So Sherry Blake, what is your hidden talent? What is your hidden talent, Sherry Blake?
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. What is my hidden talent? Oh boy, that's a tough one, Table Topic Master, and I'm wasting time thinking. Oof. My hidden talent, well, it's not really hidden. You know me, I always like to talk about being a marathoner, but that's not a hidden talent. But I'm going to talk about it anyway. So my hidden talent is the fact that I started running marathons in my adult life. I never ran a day in my adult life until I ran the marathon. So this all came about during COVID. And I worked for the title sponsor of the New York City Marathon. And my coworkers would always ask me, when are you going to run the marathon with us? And I told them, I can't run. I've never run a day in my life, in my adult life. And they told me how another coworker walked the entire marathon, and it took him about 8 hours. And I thought, wow, I think I can do that. So when I ran my first marathon, it was a hidden talent that came to life. But since I've been running marathons for the past 5 years, it's no longer hidden. It's out in the open. So to answer your question, what was my hidden talent back in 2022? It was running, because I never thought that I could run 26.2 miles a day in my life. Thank you so much for that question. And back to you.
Thank you, Sherry, for that. Can I ask, what's your time for your average marathon?
Well, I'm a back of the pack runner. So my average time is about 6.5 hours.
Excellent.
Too bad for back of the pack, but it's slow.
I used to have a T-shirt that said DFL is better than DNF, as in dead flame or last is better than did not finish, is better than did not start. I'm a back of the pack runner as well. The only marathon I've ever done was 6 hours and 20 odd minutes, and I'm never going to do another one. But thank you for continuing to run on my behalf. Okay, now, Yanni. Yanni is in fact a guest, but has also been a Toastmaster. So you don't get to escape. For you, Yanni, the question is, what condiment do you use the most? So what condiment or seasoning do you use the most?
Good evening again, Toastmasters, and I am the guest. Good evening to me, and thank you, Table Topic how do I say table topic presenter?
That's it. That'll do.
Um, my favorite condiment is salt and pepper. And one of my habits that I'm trying to incorporate during the week is the meal prep, because I would like to have all my meats and some carbohydrates. And in order that I arrive from work, I can just cook 20 minutes with all my meal prep that is in the refrigerator, which salt and pepper resolve more to condiment or give the flavor to salmon, meat, and fish. And that's my favorite because I want to improve my cooking skills.
Excellent. Thank you
Back to
very much.
you, tabletop peak master.
Thank you, Yanni.
Sorry.
All right. No, that's fine. Thank you very much for that. I have to say, I have a weakness for tahine, which sort of goes really well with eggs and for some strange reason with melon. I have no idea why, but it works. Okay, let's move on to who else? We have chat monitor Andrei Smolenko. You've only got a minor role, so you're going to get a table topic. Andre, what is your social media of choice? What is your social media of choice, Andre Smolenko?
Thank you very much, Mr. Table Topics Master. What an excellent question. And starting with not that important role. In fact, I think Chat Monitor is one of the most important roles in Toastmasters. And speaking of Chat Monitor, I like monitoring Facebook, of course. It's got to be Facebook. It's my choice for the business. That's majority of my clients are on Facebook. And recently, I've been experimenting with TikTok, so-called teenage, very quick video social network. My daughter and my son, they've been trying to introduce me to Snapchat. Snapchat is another popular for teenagers social media that I cannot get my head around. I've tried a number of times, but I failed. So I would say Facebook would be my priority for business purposes and just communication with other adults. For a slightly younger audience and just to look cool for my teenage son and daughter, I use TikTok. I would encourage, I think a couple of, maybe last year, we had a presenter who was specializing on TikTok promotions, and I think the lady gave us a few valuable tips on how to do it. I took it on board, and I'm trying to do it as well, not only for personal reasons, but for the business too. And it's really easy when you can been with Toastmasters for a while to produce a short video on almost anything you like. And TikTok, and it seems to like it too. So Facebook number one, TikTok number two, and Snapchat. If you've heard of that, just give it a go. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, at Andre Smolenko. Thank you for your contribution today. Jim Barber, you have an eclectic series of tastes, I know. But what I want to know is what sparked your curiosity into what you are most interested in now. So what sparked your curiosity into what you are most interested in now? Jim.
Mr. Topics Master, my fellow Toastmasters, what sparked my curiosity into what I'm most interested in now? That's difficult to answer, which is probably the point of view, the point of the question. What I am, wow, I'm fascinated by so many things. Anything that I don't know is interesting to me. It's fascinating to me, and I want to know more about it. But there is one thing that stands head and shoulders above everything else these days. I don't think it'll be a surprise to anybody. It's probably the thing that fascinates most of you. And that, of course, is AI. Now, what triggered that, I'm not really sure, except that I'm fascinated by all things technology. When something comes out, even if it doesn't last for very long, it becomes a fad, everybody's popular on it, and then it goes away. I still enjoy seeing it, seeing, oh, what it could do. At one point, I think I figured that I knew about 24 computer programming languages, simply because when one came out, I would say, oh, I got to learn that, and I would learn that programming language. Nobody does it anymore now. But AI, of course, is different, because AI is here to stay. And AI is just growing like gangbusters, and it is doing things that, frankly, I would, in my wildest imagination, I would never have thought that it was capable of. So what triggered it was simply that AI came along, and I looked at it and I said, oh my gosh, this is awesome. But that's what, I don't know what triggered it, but that is the thing that fascinates me. It has been now for several years, and I think it will continue to for quite a while in the future. It's AI. Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, Jim. One last question. Annie Martin, you're a celebrant. You look at people's lives and you talk about them and you reflect upon them. What trait do you want to be known for? What trait do you want to be most known for, Annie Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Very hard to narrow that down to one trait. There would be so many, but I will try. I think it's for not being completely sane. There's the trait, isn't it? I think there's a number of things I do which are a bit on the edge, and I love, literally, one of them is to be up as high as I possibly can. I adore really, really high spaces, and then to lean out and look over them, which makes me a nightmare to travel with. Ask my partner what it's like to go traveling with me. I'm really excited to say that soon I am going to be traveling to Vancouver in August for you know what, and fingers crossed I'll meet some people here. But all I'm doing this morning is looking at, like, what's the highest place I can go to so that I can go up, whether it's a tower or a mountain, and look out over the edge. I'm not sure whether it's a great trait to be remembered for, but it's one that I would like to think reflects a sense of fun and adventure, being optimistic enough to think that maybe my dreams will come true, my dreams where I can fly so low, like a bird, will actually come true, and I will have a bird's eye view of everything that is. Maybe that's a very mystical dream of the post life that we all may or may not have, that we can actually see everything and be at one with everything, flying over some space. So that's the trait. For those who know me well, know that's the essence of me. And now I've put it out there that I'll be in Vancouver, and maybe at some point later on in the meeting, I'll find out whether anyone else might be, because that would be super exciting. And then I would really feel like I am flying. Thank you for the question, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Annie. Mr. Toastmaster, I just realized we've only got one evaluator, so we've probably got a couple of extra minutes. Do I have time for one more table topic, or should I hand them back to you now?
No, go for it.
Go for it. Sarah or Sunny? Sarah or Sunny? Who wants this one?
Let Sarah go, because I didn't get a chance to introduce her or ask her a question in meet and greet.
All right, in that case,
Can somebody else
Sarah,
step in as her timer? Or?
I can.
All right.
Thank you.
So, Sarah, you're it. Don't blame me. Blame Sunny. She's the one who nominated it. For you, the easiest question I'm going to ask all night. Yeah, right. Who has had the greatest impact on your life? Who has had the greatest impact on your life? Sarah Arahan.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Who has had the greatest impact on my life? I think it must be my mom, or even more so than my dad, but just my mom. And I often even talk to my kids using some of her remarks, like your word is your bond. And some of the things that if you want to have friends, you got to show yourself friendly. And it's a lot of things that she would just say to me. And of course, she was a big disciplinarian as well. And so all of that, I think she had the greatest influence on me, personally. But when I look at my life, say my education starting in the second grade, it was my second grade teacher. Her name was Mrs. Smith. And I never forgot her because she was a jack of all trades, so to speak. We were in the country school, and she was the only teacher, and there were several grades in the school, so it was kind of like Little House on the Prairie, where you had all these grades, and we still would have, at the end of the school year, we have the program where we invite all the parents and everything. And not only did she teach me, but she taught my brothers that were ahead of me as well. And anytime we would go to church at my dad's church, she would always remember all of us and come and say hi. And so it was just something about her that I just remember my whole life, that I want to be a person that is true, that is honest, that is above board and not trying to hide in the dark, but just being an upboard person as that and as my mom. Back to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much for that response. And I have to say, as somebody who spent, I don't know, more than a decade as a teacher, I love the fact that one of the people who had the greatest influences on you was a teacher, because, teachers teach, and that's excellent. I've got everybody, apart from, as I say, Sunny, and I know, she's already said she wasn't going to be here for the whole meeting, so I could give her one anyway, but I'm not going to. I'll hand it back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right.
Unless you want me to give one to her.
No. I think everybody was within time, correct? So I'm going to drop a voting link in the chat, and everybody please vote. We've got a lot of people to vote on, a lot of choices. Gotta get a few votes so that we get more than one vote from each person, because probably everybody has a favorite. There was lots of good stuff going around there. But let us, meanwhile, move on with our meeting with our all-important evaluation and feedback session, led by our general evaluator, Marianne Grady. Marianne.
Well, good evening, everybody. So happy to be with you tonight. I am your general evaluator, and I will facilitate the feedback portion of our meeting, and that will include evaluators, evaluating prepared speeches, and reporters who will talk about our time, our screen presence, our chat. We have a lot of them, so please listen and you will learn. Our first evaluator of the evening is our president, Joni Laidlaw, and she will be evaluating Andrew Burns' speech. Please welcome Joni.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Distinguished Toastmaster Andrew Byrne and Distinguished Toastmaster times 3. It got demonstrated that you are a member of the 1%, and I guess maybe even further up because you've done it not once, not twice, but 3 times. It showed in the delivery of your information. You knew a lot about Toastmasters. You didn't just attend the college, you went for the PhD. I'm assuming that's what you hit when you've done DTM 3 times. So I appreciated the presentation. I loved your slides. If you look in the chat, there is somebody with a picture like mine asking you, may I have, there's one particular slide that I want, but if I can get the whole deck, that would be wonderful. It was excellent information. The layout, very effective. It communicated the information, and it communicated the information in a way that was clear, easy to understand, but still allowed us the opportunity to look at it, and listen to you. There wasn't a fight between paying attention to the slides or listening to what you had to say. What would I suggest to make this even better? Well, I would start with your vocal variety. When you are speaking, you said when someone comes up to you and asks, well, you can do that. When somebody comes up to you and asks, Joni, what do you think we could do? Change up your voice. It adds a bit of oomph as you do it. I would also suggest working on your framing. Now, like me, you speak with your hands. And when you remembered, you put them up and you would do a gesture like this. I can't comment on your body language because most of it was usually lost down here. The time you put your hands up, you use the universal gesture for I'm being open, which is a good thing, but it didn't fall in line with what you were actually presenting at the time. What I can suggest is if you reframe, if you reframe to about here, it makes it easier for you to communicate, and then I'll see and understand what you're doing without having to wait for the occasional. It's actually popping up because it's a habit hands, and I have them all the time. I usually suggest giving yourself specific words, like specific, where your body will do the movement that will fall in line with the words that you're saying. I would also recommend, and this one goes to everybody at Online Presenters, because we all know we have a very special love for technology, but it does not have a very special love for us. Test before the presentation. Also, make sure that your timer is positioned that you can clearly see them. Now, if you're not seeing the timer before you start, you can call on the timer, ask them to raise their hand, because when you go over, sometimes you lose the opportunity to connect with your audience because it seems like you might be lulling on. With that though, excellent speech, great slides. Again, that person in the chat is asking for them. And I look forward to finding out more about Toastmasters International. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Well, thank you, Joni. Timer, was Joni within time?
3 minutes, yes, she was.
Okay, that's terrific. We will not need to vote since we only have one evaluator. Joni is our best evaluator. Next up, can I call upon our awe counter? And this would be Allie Blakeman, and she has stepped up when we had an open roll tonight like she always does. So please put your hands together for Allie and her report.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. We were all clean tonight. There were a few exceptions. 2 people had some issues, and each one of them had an twice. I won't name names, but it comes with stumbles. When we encounter a hiccup in technology or a hiccup in our scripting, sometimes that word just shoots right out of our mouth. But overall, everyone was clean. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you. I would like to call upon our grammarian. And tonight, our grammarian is Annie Morton. And I'm sad to inform everybody that Susie will not be with her tonight.
Oh,
Welcome, Annie.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. The word of the day was muckraker. To remind everybody, the word of the day was muckraker. Maybe it's not too late in our closing comments. It had a very low pickup. I think I shall leave it there, including it had a very low pickup from me, except that I've just said it then. There were so many beautiful phrases. Andy Byrne, they just flow out of his mouth. And this imagery, a 3-legged stool, a leaky bucket, a sprinter versus a marathoner. And this information is like a buffet. And how hungry are you? Woohoo! That is just such a wonderful way to put things. There is a word that creeps in, but I think it might be an Americanism. I don't know if I should say that, but I did. But sometimes Graham Cann says it too. And this is one word. Maybe it belongs in the R counter, not a grammarian. But the word is stuff. Stuff. That could be an opportunity to tell us what you mean rather than stuff. Anyway, I'll just throw that out there and I'll get on with the rest of the excellent language that I heard. David Carr talked about learning how to tap dance. Alison looked like Barney Rubble. Woohoo! all imagery. Loved it. Beautiful. Sherry, a hidden talent that came to life. I really like that phrase. Graham, hilariously, a DFL, I haven't heard this, is better than a DNF. In other words, a dead flamin' last is better than a did not finish. And as a sort of runner, I love that. I also love Jimbaba, growing like gangbusters. And I love Sarah, we were like a little house on the prairie. Again, another image that we all have from, well, many of us have from television. Overall, what beautiful language we had and so many word pictures and metaphors. Loved it very much. Thank you. Over to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Well, thank you for that very complete report. Next up, and in a virtual club, this role is a very important one. The watcher. Jim Barber is our watcher tonight. Put your hands together for Jim.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. The watcher is the most important role at our Toastmasters meeting. And I don't have much stuff to talk about this evening. I was remembering that when I joined Online Presenters, the watcher had to nail an awful lot of people. Their lighting was bad, their framing was improper, that sort of thing. We're not doing it anymore. It's amazing. I look at everybody here, and everybody is well presented. There's really nothing for me to talk about. However, that's never stopped me before, and it won't stop me now. I've got something else that I want to mention along those same lines. It's been mentioned at past meetings that it's important not to block any text that you might have in front of you. For example, online presenters. Right now, Andre is blocking part of the online presenter's name, and he would be called on that. I don't object to that personally. It depends upon what you're looking at. If what you're looking at is information, then certainly you do not want to block that. But if what you're looking at is basically marketing, it's okay to partially block it because it makes people fill in the blanks, as it were. So since Andre moved down, but I'll move myself up, if I were to do like this, people would still know that it's online presenters, even though the word online is partially blocked. And this is a nice marketing technique. It looks pretty on the screen to have everything flow together. So just something to think about, just my opinion. And I'll add one more thing to say, Buckraker, back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Well, maybe you just need a different version of the background like mine where the words are higher. Okay, so now our last reporter of the evening is our chat monitor, and that would be Andre Smolenko. So welcome to Andre.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. I've been chat monitor for this evening with Online Presenters Club, and I politely disagree with previous speaker, who was Mr. Watcher, who for some reason pronounced that the most important role was the watcher. Of course, it's not. Everybody knows it's the chat monitor. And this is why I have just very few things to report about this meeting, because the chat, for some reason, has not been used as much as I would like it to be. However, I've noticed two wonderful online presenters use the words of the day "muckraker" in their comments. More than that, in the comments about AI from, I think, Table Topics, there were a few very interesting remarks by David Carr saying the question is whether humanity is here to stay. It was related to the AI interest and curiosity of some of our members, to which Johnny Laidlaw responded, as species, we are stubborn and adaptable. So I would say I share Johnny's optimism. However, I got to take into account David Carr's pessimism, considering he is the journalist and, of course, Democrat as well. Overall, I would encourage you to use the chat more often with this most important role of online presenters. I salute you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Well, that was one chatty chat monitor. Thank you for your comments there, Andre. And now it is up to me to give a report on the entire meeting. We started just a minute or two late. But the meeting was really, really quite interesting and fun. So I think overall we did a wonderful job this evening. I am going to pass it back to our Toastmaster of the day, and that would be that.
All right. Well, Graham clarified a little bit in the comments, muckraker as a pejorative versus muckraker as a compliment. They were the people who got down in the dirty business of figuring out the corruption. This is going back to early 20th century, I think the word dates to. But I at one point did work on a farm, a rabbit farm. It's a long story. But one of my side jobs was mucking out the horse stall. So that is shoveling crap from that has been left by the horses, raking it out of the hay. So that gives you kind of a picture of what muckraking is like. But it is an important part of the journalistic profession. Let me share winners, because we really just had the one contest tonight. And I am going to be breaking one of my own rules, because one of my own rules is that there's never a tie, that the vote counter ought to break the tie. But today we had a three-way tie. Sherry Blake with Allison Blakeman with Sarah Iden. We had an extended Toastmasters table topic session. We had a lot of things to celebrate, a lot of things for people to vote for. And I don't know if I've seen a three-way tie before, so I just had to preserve that and acknowledge it. And I think just about everybody got a vote or two. So y'all did well. Let me hand it back to our president, Joni Renee Laidlaw.
Thank you so much, David, for taking us through a very interesting topic and a very interesting meeting for today. With that, I am actually going to adjourn our meeting. But before I do, we're going to have our guest comment. So I'm just letting you know that we're going to restart the recording.